guys, 1097 Stowe 171. Well, they gave me yet another new truck. They stuck me in a day cab. We're gonna take a trip. So, I apologize, it's a mess, but this is a day cab. A little different, ain't it? You can actually look back and see the fifth wheel. Got basically no storage. You can't stand up in it. We'll talk here once I get out of the yard. Let me make sure this thing is going. Yeah. Sorry guys, we're on the old GoPro. I hope the audio comes out okay. I don't have a way to edit anything at this point, which is something else we'll talk about. Now let's get that thing the hell out of the way. Blocking the defroster vent. And pull that thing out of the way there. In the meantime, I'll do my inspection. One good thing is when you forget your trailer number, you can turn around and look at it instead of having to hop out of the truck and off the PDL block while I'm thinking about it. This one's not air ride, so I don't need to worry about letting the stand inflate. We've been hauling a cement trailer over the last few days, and that one had an air. All the cement trailers have air ride. Come on, buddy. Now he's up top. Well, we're gonna go. Waste of time. Figured he was gonna back it in to the hopper area there and then do that. There's Corey. I'm in a steel sprung trailer today, which is gonna be oh so much fun. Oh, look at this dumbass leaving his tailgate down. He's just asking to get that thing ripped off by some truck coming by. Stupid. I still haven't gotten used to the fact that the truck is shorter than my other truck. And the wheelbase actually isn't that much shorter. It is a little bit shorter, but not that much. I'm just trying to calculate which way I should go. My mind here, guys. Yeah, these fucking sewer district guys, they've almost killed me twice when I was on my motorcycle. I was coming this way, and they did exactly what that guy did. Except he pulled all the way out on the street before he stopped. He was actually in my lane. May not seem like a big deal, but that's a couple of minutes right there from the time I pulled out to the time I just went on driving right there. On days when I'm thinking or worried that I might have a long driving day, that I might run out of hours, I wait as long as possible to go on driving, because it could come down to 1 minute, you know, and then you're screwed. So, oh God. So they put me in a day cab, and I don't know what I'm going to talk about, guys, as usual. And I know it's been months since I posted the video. I apologize for that. I know I've got a lot of loyal followers out there, and a lot of things been going on. Just primarily, for quite a long time, I was just doing weird deliveries at strange hours. It was dark out. None of my equipment does records at night very well. So, we're going to take a chance to go through Indianapolis. I have two ways to get to Rochester. I can go around and go up through Indianapolis, or I can go north through Ohio, across through Fort Wayne and over into Rochester over on 24. And that way is the longest, but you can end up sucking up the difference in time in Indianapolis pretty easily. If you get caught up in rush hour on 31, that can be just about as bad. So, what was I back to? Oh, why haven't I made a video? So I've been doing a bunch of weird hours, you know, and I actually did make a couple of videos, at least two actually, and when I had recorded them, something didn't go right on the recording, or the audio is bad, you know, one thing or the other, and my video editor is still not working right. I tried fixing it, and I really don't have the time or the money, quite frankly. Oh, man, that's great. I really don't have the time or the money to go buy a better editor. And so, I mean, I know it's a lousy excuse, but really it's just been a matter of I haven't had a whole lot of time. And then there's been days where I had the time and I just didn't feel like it. Didn't have the energy to get the equipment, or I forgot the equipment, or, you know, there were some things going on in the personal life that were stressful, and you know, you get in those moods where you're like, you just don't, you know, you want to be left alone, like, don't talk to me, leave me alone. And I kind of felt the other way, but reverse, where I just really didn't feel like talking to anybody. And as I said, I did make a couple of videos that had pretty interesting topics. And I just thought of something. You know, let me know what you guys think. I've heard some people comment to me that, you know, because I do long videos, they don't always watch the video. Sometimes they just like to listen to me yap about my life. So there is one thing I could do is I could just throw the audio. Well, that would still require an editor. Maybe. I'll look into that. Maybe, if you guys are interested, if I do a video and it doesn't turn out or something like that, maybe I could just rip the audio out of it, just post the audio on YouTube with a, I don't know, photograph of something. That's one option. Oh, God almighty. Anyway, So the day cab. Things I like. It's a little easier to park. It pulls loads a little bit better because it's significant. It's at least it's almost 2,000 pounds lighter, 1,500 maybe. Because with a 3-pocket trailer, this truck weighs in at like 26,000 and change. So it's right about 1,000, 1,200 pounds lighter, something like that. So it pulls a little bit better. It's a little easier to back up, particularly in Michigan City, because I can look out the back window and see the end of the trailer when I'm making that corner. I can pretty much do Michigan City without stopping. I can do it in almost one continuous movement. So those are the things I like about the truck. The things I don't like about the truck, pretty much everything else. You know, it still has the same Max Force engine. It's a brand new truck. Pulls great. It pulls even better, really, because of the less weight. But this truck rides absolutely terribly, and I don't know what it is. I'm guessing the cab suspension is right back here behind me, and it has one airbag in the middle and 2 shocks on the side. I don't know what the deal is, but and I don't think that's it, by the way, because it feels to me like the axles are what's different. I mean, you just hit bumps and it just fucking. I mean, it's bad, even loaded. I mean, you know, the other ProStar that I had, you know, empty particularly kind of sucked compared to some of the other trucks I've driven, but loaded, it wasn't too bad. This one, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And even the drive axle, that's the thing I don't understand. Even the drive axles feel like they are way too rigid. Like there's not enough flex in them, or like there's too stiff a shock on it, or I don't know what the hell it is, but man, this thing beats the shit out of you. It's my biggest complaint. You know, I don't know why. I can't imagine it's the same year as the new truck I had before. I can't imagine the suspension would be any different. Although I will tell you, I think the front suspension is different, because I was looking under it, and the rear shackle I think is in a different location, because you can see it standing next to the door. You can look under and see it, and I'm pretty sure on my other truck that wasn't the case. So I don't know, maybe it's on a different chassis because it's a day cab. Maybe it runs down a totally different chassis line. I don't know. I hate it. Other than the fact that it's pretty quick, I pretty much hate it. You don't have any storage, and you know, I've already had to stay in a motel one time. I told them when they told me they were going to put me in a day cab, I was like, well, that's pretty stupid, guys. I was like, well, you never sleep in your truck, and it's true, I don't often sleep in my truck, but I often almost have to sleep in my, almost have to sleep in my truck. And it kind of adds a second level of stress, you know, on those Michigan City loads, other loads when you know you're going to have a long day driving like today. Now I got to think about, oh gee, I better watch my hours. Oh boy, am I going to be able to get home? So I got to plan a hotel, and a lot of times with our loads, you know, we run pretty weird hours. I might not know till an hour before home that I'm not going to get home because I'm close. So, you know, I'm not sure if I'm going to get home or not. Do you just plan on not getting home and stay in a hotel and screw up your next day probably? Or do you, in a sleeper truck, I could risk it, and, there's a truck stop an hour away from the house. Usually I know by that point, because I know how long it takes me to get from the Loves at 123 to home. If I've only got 45 minutes left on my driving, and I know I'm not going to make it, and I can just stay there. I usually stop there and fuel and transflow anyway. So it's just, it's just a disruption of my normal pattern. And I just don't see the core purpose. I'm sure the reasoning is that this truck costs a hell of a lot less money than a full sleeper. Because you don't have the cab heater, you don't have the battery pack for the air conditioner. I mean, I bet that this truck's probably 20 grand cheaper than the sleeper truck, and I get that. But I don't know. If it rode halfway decent, I'd probably be okay with it. I don't really like staying in hotels too, by the way. Just, ugh. I just don't. I'd rather sleep in my truck, knowing who's been in it. Yeah. So, anyway, so I don't really like the truck. I will tell you one other thing. I think there may be a design flaw with this Max Force engine. My other truck, you turn the key on and it would flash a check engine light, and at some point I noticed that it would stumble if you went into the truck stop, ate lunch, came back out, and then started up, let it set in idle for a minute. You'd take off and it would stumble and miss completely on multiple cylinders. I'm guessing that that's what the check engine light was for, but intelligently, International doesn't just tell you on the little digital screen what the malfunction is. It just says check engine or whatever. And that old Volvo, the 05 Volvo I had, it would actually tell you what the fucking code was and what it meant. Duh. So you know whether it's important or not. Stupid. Because they want to get you to take it into the service department, is what. That kind of shit pisses me off. As a driver, I want to know what the hell's wrong. Is it something simple, or do I really need to stop and have it looked at? It'd be nice to know that. Anyway, my other truck, it also had a bit of a tick show up, it was with valve train. It was not every engine rotation. You could tell it was with the valve train, and or it could have been an injector making noise too. Either way. And then I got a full-on check engine light that never went off. But all that it ever did was, under those certain circumstances, it would misfire a little bit and stumble. Running down the road, it was fine. And the fuel mileage didn't change driving on the highway. So it seemed to be running fine out on the open road. So I didn't really worry about it. Well, and it had about 28,000 on it when I got this. I'm now at 25.3. The stumbling has been here it's been stumbling a little bit for a while, and now I've got that same engine tick. So I'm thinking it's an injector issue. Or a fuel delivery issue. Could be that too. I don't know. Oh, like I said, it runs fine. This one runs fine down the interstate too. So I don't know, but it's not really a brand new engine, so Max Force has been out for a bit, a few years at least, 2 or 3. I love the I love the engine. It pulls fantastic. It really does. Makes your life easy. The only thing is, if you're coming from a regular truck, from a different engine, I was always taught a certain timing sequence to go from gear to gear. When I went through CDL training, he said use the Addams Family song, and I did that for a long time. Obviously you don't do it actually, but you think about things like that, and he just gave me a beat to remember, and at least in those Schneider trucks, that worked really well. He was very smooth if you did that. You didn't grind gears, but this truck with this Max Force, the revs drop a lot quicker in this engine than in any other truck I've ever had. So you got to move. Basically, if you're going from gear to gear, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on, particularly on the low side, basically out of gear into gear as quick as you can. Just move your arm as fast as you can, and that's what you should do. And that took some getting used to. It's kind of nice because it does let you get through gears quick, but it's a little different. And maybe I talked about that in my other. I know I made a video with my new truck. Now, like if you skip shift, which you can. Again, that's what I love about this truck. Flat level, even on mild grade, even with 50. Yesterday I had 53,500 in the bucket, sitting right at 79,900. And start off second gear, rev it up to about 1,700. Go to 4th, let it drop, go to 4th, rev it up, go to 6th, rev it up, go to 8th. Can't really rev it up and go to 10th. It doesn't work so well. Those last two seem a little taller. Empty you can, but not loaded. That doesn't work too well. Puts you just a little bit too low when you hit 10th, unless you're empty. That's about it. Everything else in the truck's pretty much the same. Rides like crap. Pulls freight great, but it rides like really bad. No CB antenna that I can find. There's a CB cubby, but no CB antenna outside. I don't know what else is different in here, but finally done away with that stupid wood grain dash. My other 14 truck didn't have that either. Excuse me while I take a drink, guys. So let's see, what else is going on in my life? I'm still driving the 98 ZJ. I actually just turned 200,000 miles on it today. Happening. I'm still working on the AR. I've got a kit all picked out. Did a lot of research, and I decided on a company called Delton, DEL-TON, and hello, she's very cute. They have a complete upper kit. I mean, all you need is a strip blower, which is what I've got. That's all I ever did buy, was a strip blower. And they got the complete upper kit, trigger group, completely assembled, headspace check, test fired, everything for $480. And with the $120 I spent on the lower, puts me right at $600 for an AR, which is still cheaper than you can buy one, and with a little bit nicer equipment than if I could buy one. But kind of stuck with the dilemma of for an extra waiting probably 6 to 8 weeks, maybe longer, to receive it, because apparently they're on back order. Or do you drop like $700, walk out the door with one, and then you either sell the lower or build another AR, because I hear that happens a lot. You know, and that could be something I do too. You know, for a little bit less, you can buy a pretty basic. DPMS makes one called the Sporticle, which has no dust cover, no forward assist. Pretty simple, you know, pretty basic. But from what I hear, the rest of it's pretty high quality. So you would pick up a basic one, just as a you know, just to have one, and then maybe, you know, build a nicer one, you know, over time. The other thing that I've considered, you know, I live in an apartment, and I really want an AR because I like the idea of, you know, it's multi-purpose. You can do 22 long rifle conversions really easily and really cheaply. You know, the AR is kind of like a Lego set. I mean, you can so customize it, you know, to do anything you want to do with it. But ultimately, I've got to have some place to shoot it. And I don't really think you're going to shoot an AR-15 in your house, at least not in my house, as a self-defense weapon. You'd be sending a round through the intruder and then through the wall, and then killing your neighbor probably. So I started thinking about that, and I came upon another option. I mean, I'm going to build there's no doubt I'm going to build an AR-15, but it's sort of prioritizing things a little bit, and I came across another idea which struck me at multiple goals. One is, you know, carry concealed permit and find a carry gun that I like a little better than my little Versa 380, which I do like quite a lot. So I've been looking at 40 caliber, Springfield XDs, or a Glock. I like the Springfield XD better, but the Glock has some advantages, mostly just aftermarket stuff. The other advantage which came to mind was I ran across a Keltec SU-2000, and that is they make it in 9mm and also 40 caliber. That is a little carbine rifle, and I ran across one at Triggers Firearms off of Turfway down in Florence. If you haven't been to that place and you live in Kentucky, you should definitely check it out. They're pretty cool, really nice store. They had one on the shelf for like $400. And I started, it folds in half, it's collapsible, you can throw it in a duffel bag. And the one they have on the shelf takes Glock magazines. Well, they make 30-round Glock magazines, stick magazines. You can even buy 100-round drum magazines if you want. So I started thinking, you know, let me look into that. So I looked into the SU-2000. Looks like it's got an effective range of about 100 yards. 50 to 75 yards being optimal. 40 caliber certainly has enough power even to do some hunting with. I've checked that out. I've talked to some people, and pretty much everybody said yes, a nice hot hollow point 40 caliber round will take down a deer. So started thinking, I wonder, rather than building an AR, I wonder if it would be better to purchase a which I had been thinking about, by the way, purchasing a carbine that you could use for home defense. You could pull out that Keltec, and if a bad guy came, you know, kicked in your door, you're not going to kill your neighbors with that SU-2000. I mean, it's a handgun round, so it would have similar behavior of a handgun, a little bit higher velocity, however, out of the rifle. It's a 16 or 18 inch barrel, so you would have a little higher velocity. So you could use it for self-defense. It collapses down to about that big. Very lightweight. Uses Glock magazines. You can buy them with either Glock magazines, Beretta magazines, and there's a third that I can't remember what it is. So then I started thinking, you know, maybe it might be smarter to buy the carbine first, because the reality is it'll be cheaper to shoot if I want to take it to the range, because it's handgun rounds instead of 5.56 or 223 Remington. It has more immediate usefulness. Could use it to hunt. Light enough to carry with you in a backpack. Small enough to carry with you in a backpack if you needed to. And it takes Glock magazines, which is probably what I would get, because I think it takes Glock 19 or 23 mag. You'd have to look on their website, I don't remember. And then you pick up a Glock handgun for your carry conceal. The cool thing would be, let's say, I don't know, shit hits the fan, and zombie apocalypse or whatever, and you're out on the road with your backpack. Well, you've got your Glock in your holster on your hip, or concealed, or whatever, and you've got your SU-2000 in the backpack, and they take the same magazine. How smart is that? That both possible weapons use the same magazines. You're not mixing up magazines, you're not mixing up calibers. One goes in the other just the same way. I thought, as a system, that makes a lot of sense. So, I'm debating. I might go that way and put the AR-15 off a little bit. As far down the priority list. I really want an AR. I've shot one now. That made me want it even more. It's a great shooting rifle. I really like it. But in my day in and day out life, it's a little bit less useful than a carbine, handgun carbine would be. And, I've got a high power rifle. I've got that Mosin Nagant. Yeah, it's bolt action. Yeah, it's slow as hell. Yeah, it's got plenty of punch. So, that's kind of what I'm thinking is maybe it might be smarter to pick up the Kel-Tec, be easier to reload it, and I probably would, especially if you got, a bunch of 30-round Glock magazines. You're going to want to do some reloading because, handgun ammo is not cheap either. But it's cheaper than 5.56. Although not, I don't know, maybe not. 9mm would be really cheaper. They do make a 9mm version. But I think 40 would be the way to go. 40's got more stopping power and a little bit less velocity. I'm sorry, not really less velocity, but it tends to not penetrate as badly. 9mm has a tendency to over-penetrate. One other good thing is when I'm looking at this ramp, I can actually look over my shoulder and see diagonally. That's kind of cool. So, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. The more I think about it, the more I think, yeah, maybe I ought to get the carbine first. And the thing is, the Kel-Tecs are hard to get. I mean, I saw one, it could be gone now, I don't know. MSRP is like $400, $410. They had it for $399, but they had it at the store, so that's tempting. So, and it's tiny, doesn't weigh anything. Not the most ergonomic carbine in the world. And the sights on it are kind of cheap and plasticky, but there are some aftermarket upgrades you can do. They seem to work fine, but they're kind of cheap and plasticky. So that's about it in the gun section of my life. What else is going on? Obamacare sucks. Or seems to. What a total train wreck. Leave it to the government to fuck up its own program. It had 3.5 years to get worked out. Unbelievable. That's why I know I have a lot of followers that are in other countries. I get a lot of people from Australia and New Zealand, and it's one of the reasons we're kind of anti-government here. Is quite frankly, our government doesn't do much very well. They're too big for their own good, and they really have no idea what the hell is going on in the real world. Politicians, anyway. The bureaucratic nonsense. I mean, it was destined to fail just because the federal government's the people that came up with it. And they had over 3 years to implement it, get ready for it, and they're still not ready for it. And right now, the last I heard, at least 5 million people have lost their current insurance, and that's going to be a difficult thing for Obama to get over. He, he didn't just say in passing, if you like your policy, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. He didn't just say that one time and sort of could have misunderstood. He said that over and over and over. And on top of that, it's becoming obvious that he probably knew that probably wasn't the case. That they knew 5% of the population was going to lose their existing health care coverage. Which is kind of ironic because the whole purpose of Obamacare was to try to get that 15% covered that wasn't covered. It is actually closer to 10%. So it's kind of funny. You enact this unbelievably complicated policy that throws the whole system up in a blender with unknown consequences with the intent on helping maybe 10 or 15% of the population. Well, right there is your clue that it was a bad idea. The polls showed 85% of Americans were happy with the health insurance that they had. So this thing was only going to help 15% of the population at the most. There's your first clue that you ought to leave it alone. It's not a big enough percentage of the population to throw such a big monkey wrench into a very complicated system. If you were going to be helping half the people in the country, then you could argue that it was worth the risk, but I don't think it was, and obviously it wasn't. So, but now, 5 million people. Was it 5 million or 5%? Anyway. You've already hurt a lot of the people that you were planning on helping. It's just, I don't know. I know my out-of-pocket. We just got our update on our insurance, and the rates didn't change, but my out-of-pocket expenses went up $500 a year. I have really great health insurance, but now because of Obamacare, I'm gonna have to pay $500 more a year out of pocket before my out-of-pocket expenses is maxed out. So, it's a disaster pretty much, which is kind of inevitable. You get a 3,000-page law thought up by lawyers and politicians. What do you expect? It's destined to be a disaster. They're idiots for the most part. No, anyway, that's enough of that shit. I actually almost feel sorry for him because I do. While I disagree with his politics, I think he's probably a genuinely nice guy, and I believe, at least I hope, that he did genuinely want to help people, and that he is genuinely upset about how this has turned out. The problem is that it's just his philosophy. He believes that government is the answer to problems, and I'm more of a Ronald Reagan follower, where the answer to government is the source of the problem, not the solution to them. But I think on a personal standpoint that President Obama wanted to help people. I hope that's the case. But the reality is he probably hasn't, and he doesn't really have a way out of it at this point. I don't. He said over and over and over, you can keep your policy if you like it, and you can keep your doctor if you like it. And while still bad that it's not true, if you could show that he really didn't know that wasn't going to be the case, he might be able to get away with it. But, there's information coming out of the White House that, yeah, well, we sort of knew this might happen. Then you lied multiple times. You intentionally lied to get your policy across. And the reason they did that was at the time that Obamacare went through, like 70% of Americans, high 60% or 70% did not want it. And they did it anyway. So, you know. Hey, they got the snow blowers going. I can't turn my head that far. I wish I had a secondary camera, but that's perfect north slopes right there. And they're spraying, making snow on the hillsides. So, if nothing really changes, what's going to happen probably is in the next congressional elections, Democrats are just going to get absolutely killed. Although you could leave it up to the Republicans to screw up a free lunch. So you know, who the hell knows what'll happen? But you know, the Republicans, Obamacare passed the House and Senate without a single Republican vote. So, and the Republicans have been fighting against it ever since then. You know, causing government shutdowns, which people didn't like. But now that the problems with Obamacare are surfacing and showing up, you know, the Republicans can turn around and go, right there, guys, we told you so, and there's the people that did it. And they can point and honestly point at the Democrats and say, y'all did this. You did this. Vote for us, you know. But like I said, they're liable to point the finger and blame the Democrats and then screw up the free lunch that comes out of that by being stupid. Because the Republican Party is kind of in disarray as well. But, you know, in 16, if they throw a super conservative, you know, another McCain or Romney out there, Hillary's going to get elected. There's no doubt. I might vote for her just to send a message to the Republican Party that they need to stop being stupid. If they send somebody like Rand Paul or a moderate who has a brain in his head and isn't so narrow-minded about things, somebody that wants to get things done, then they might do well. But they're going to have to take advantage of the negative political situation for the Democrats. And they don't do that very well, quite frankly. They really don't. I mean, look at the 2012 election with Obama. You know, you got the economy was still in the toilet, and they still couldn't get anybody elected because they chose a candidate that was not really electable when there were other choices available to them. I mean, Mitt Romney's a nice guy. I don't no personal issues here, but he doesn't come off very good. He didn't anyway, and it cost him the election. You know, you've got unemployment still at 8%. You know, and Obama stays in. I mean, it you know, clear message that the Republicans picked the wrong person. You know, and Obama didn't just win by a little bit either. So, they just didn't like Romney, and anyone should have known that that was what was going to happen. And for some reason, the Republicans didn't know it because they're living in their own, like most politicians, they're living in their own little world, their own little enclosed clique of people, and they really have no freaking idea what the hell's going on in the country and what people are really thinking. And I think the Democrats may have that problem too, to a degree. You know? Anyway. I said I was done with politics and then I kept ranting. I apologize. So, I don't know what else is going on. A tornado in Illinois. It's crazy looking at those photographs. You know, the typhoon in the Philippines was just unbelievably terrible. I have a friend who has had family there, but they're all okay. I called her and asked her, and They're all fine. But that's just I mean, watching the stuff from the Philippines is just heartbreaking. Fortunately, there's some international aid there now, and you know, I mean, it took a while to get there. The United States sent the nuclear aircraft carrier USS George Washington, along with some other parts of the fleet. Well, carriers always go with their full fleet, so they're not alone. There's quite a nice group of U.S. ships there, and that gives them a nice flight deck to, you know, run in it with helicopters in and out of places you can't get to. The British sent a carrier and all the support vessels that go with that as well. They're all there now. But, you know, they were in Hong Kong, so, you know, it took some time to get there. It'd have been interesting to watch that carrier on its way, though, because from what I heard, their orders were to make all possible speed, which I think is emergency full front. So that might have been kind of fun to watch a carrier at full speed. But you know, then we had these tornadoes in Illinois, and tornadoes kind of scare me more than hurricanes, because you know, with a hurricane, at least here, you know, people in the Philippines didn't really have a choice. But at least here, with a hurricane, you generally know it's coming and you can get the hell out of the way. But, you know, with a tornado, you know there's a tornado coming, but the randomness of tornadoes is what's so spooky. You know, you can come out and your house is perfectly fine and the house next to you is gone. Totally gone, like it was never there. And it's the randomness of that I find really spooky. You know, so must have a flat spot on the tire back there, guys. Coming up this hill, it's going dun 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 dun, and it's not on the road. It's come on, one more gear. Weird. I just heard the turbos spooling, and turbos are going like pulsing. It's kind of strange. They couldn't decide what they wanted to do. Normally, you don't hear the turbos on these max force engines. Now, there's two turbos sitting right there, but they don't make much noise. Normally, you can hear the turbo whine on most engines, but you really can't on this truck. They're still pulsing. That's interesting. You might be able to hear that. That's really strange. There are days where I just wish I had my old 60 series Detroit that was in that Schneider, except at 500 horsepower instead of 370, perhaps. But simple, reliable, uncomplicated. Certainly something to be said for that. Oh boy. I'm hoping pretty soon I'm going to be able to crack into my Miata and get it apart. We still haven't touched it. It's crazy though. That thing has been sitting up at my friend's house for, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months at this point, and we just haven't had the time to pull it apart. And I don't have the money haven't really had the money to fix it. So I'd rather leave it in running condition, although poor running condition. But I'd rather leave it in running condition until I have the money to. If I don't have the money to replace the cylinder head, why tear it apart? You know, and we really haven't had the time anyway. But now that winter's here, Hopefully, I'll have some time to pull it apart. But it's really weird. It sat there for 2 or 3 months with like a 1/16 of a tank of gas in it too, which is bad. I shouldn't have done that. Got in it, turned the key, and it fucking fires right up. No compression on cylinder 4, and it still runs. It just starts right up and runs. It's amazing. Smokes like crazy when it's cold, but I'm going to be very curious to pull that apart. Hopefully I can have a video camera with me. Maybe I'll take this with me and keep it on my head so it's out of the way. It's going to be fascinating to crack that apart and find out what in the hell is going on with that thing. It's just amazing to me that something running on 3 cylinders and burning as much oil as it burns can run as good as it runs. It burns a quart of oil like every 150 miles. Even when it was warm out, it was getting to the point where you really couldn't drive it without smoking people out. So it's going to be fascinating to pull it apart and see what happened to it. Getting to the top here of 74, I'm probably going to cut the video off, but I want to let you guys know too that there's a possibility of me changing jobs. I'll be staying with the company that I'm with, but they've got a new contract with another company to haul a different line of product, and at a significant increase in salary, or I wouldn't even consider it. Be a totally different product. I'm going to have to get my hazmat and my tanker permit, and it's also going to require that I'm out on the road. I'll be out 10 to 14 days at a time. So if I do take that job, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do videos, or if I do, I'll have to record them and upload them when I get home. But I'm going to have even less free time than I have now. So there is a possibility that once I take that job, that I'm going to be posting videos even less frequently than I have been normally. And recently I haven't been posting videos at all. Is he going to stop, or is he not going to stop? I thought he was going to pull into that little area there and stop, and then he didn't. Fucking turbos are surging again. Fuck. Fucking variable vane turbos, man. They work really well when they work, but sometimes they freaking flip out and do some really odd things. Again, 60 series Detroit, 500 horsepower. Keep it simple. Oh, but it would pollute too much. You can hear that probably. Hell, with this GoPro, maybe not. Anyway, so yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to the new job, just because, like I said, it's a totally new type of cargo. I'll be hauling gas, not liquid gasoline, but like compressed gas, and something I've never done before. So it'll kind of add, another type of trucking, into my resume, which would be nice. And like I said, I would not even consider it, except that it's a significant increase in salary, like almost triple. Yeah, I said triple. Yeah, between double and triple the salary. Come on, what the hell? Boy, fucked up that. There's Ken, professional trucker. Can't find a gear. merging again at full throttle. That's really strange.